Hello, I am now offering a dressmaker Zigzag. It's a two-tone baby blue and a little bit lighter blue, and it has the real cute radio knobs, lots of chrome, and it comes with an owner's manual. This is the SWM-1000, and I have completely refurbished the machine inside and out, and I've even painted all the chippies that were on the very front edge. I matched that paint, I think, pretty well, so it really looks like it's almost a brand new machine, even though it's probably older than I am. And so I'm going to do some stitches so you can get a feel for how well this machine works. So let me set my camera down and we'll step on the gas. And you can barely hear this machine run. It is so quiet and it is so nice and stable. It's not even in a case, and yet it's not making any bounces. Now you can see the stitches are perfection. And there's the back side. I used two different colors so you can clearly see that the tension is set just perfectly. So that is the straight stitch. And I'm going to go back the other direction. And you can see it does run fast, but without a box it kind of does jump around a bit. I need to put it on in a case for it to be more stable. And of course there's reverse. So you push reverse and it goes backwards and then back forwards again. So it is quite fast. And then you can see the stitches. Okay, now let's do the zigzag. I'll lift this up, move it over a little bit. Now with the zigzag, what you do is you have two knobs here. One moves to the stitch width from 0 to 5, as you can see. Now it won't stay there. If you let go, it comes back to 0. So you have this dial, which is the Zigzag Lock. And so if you turn it, it actually turns that button for you. And it keeps it where you want it to be. So let's start at 3. And let me turn this back. And again, you can see that stitch is perfection. And so is the back side. And let's go ahead and increase the stitch length again, or width. And let's move it all the way up to 5. So you can see it at the highest level. I'm going to move the needle over. And so you can see it again at the widest level and the back side. Yeah, because I didn't cut the threads, It kind of drug a thread under there. So I'm going to cut the threads. Before I do the next one. Now I'm going to shorten the stitch length. This is your stitch length knob. It goes actually from here all the way to 4. So there's an adjustment inside and I just don't really want to mess with that. So know that 0 really is like 1. You see I've got it between 0 and the screw. And that is a very nice satin stitch, but I'm going to make it even tighter. Let's get it to where it's just barely moving. And now you can see beautiful, really tight satin stitch, semi-tight satin stitch. And that is at 0, which really isn't 0. But if you keep moving it, it will stop. This is for sewing on a button. If you get a button foot, I'll show you it will actually do that as well. See, it doesn't move at all. And so you just, oops. I needed to cut that. It's hard to do when I'm on video. Oh, no, I'm out of bobbin. Well, how do you like them apples? That's what the problem is. Good news is I've got a spare bobbin. So how you put it in is you have the thread coming over the top away from you. So it's going over the top away from me. This is true with all Series 15 bobbins. You put it in and then bring it around to where the slot is. See that slot? And then you bring it over to where it clicks. So now when I pull, you can see the thread goes clockwise. Now to insert it, you hold the I'm a little bit far from my machine. Okay, so I got it in. One thing I want to mention is this machine has one of those really slick, rather than sliding, it just lifts up. And you have so much more access to it. Why they didn't do all machines that way, I don't know. I'm going to pull up the thread. And now let's do a button. This would be as if we were going to sew on a button. And of course I'd need a button foot as well. But you can see it doesn't move at all. And so that's how it sews on the button. Let me trim these so you can see. There's the satin stitch. Not quite as tight satin stitch. Now, when you're doing something like satin, sometimes you have to loosen or tighten the thread tension. This one, the tension's a little bit high on the thread tension, so it's pulling some of the bobbin thread. It didn't do that so much on the regular satin, but you would adjust it here. Alrighty, well, that's pretty much it for this machine. It's a fantastic straight stitcher. It looks like it's almost a brand new machine. and yet it's from, I'd say, the 60s. Now this is the 1000, so it does not have cams associated with it. Thank you for watching. I made the decision that I would go ahead and show you how to wind a bobbin on this machine, and kind of a workaround, because all I use are cones, and if you're a sewer that uses cones or thinking about it, it's the cheapest way for you to sew is with thread, obviously, is to use cones. So I have a cone stand, and then I have it wired so that, or threaded, so that it goes under the actual where the thread would normally sit, because the machine is expecting it to be there. And so thread guiding is very important on the quality of your stitches. So I keep a bobbin or just a spare little spool of thread to keep it weighted down so that the thread feeds through there nicely. And then another feature about this machine is you see there's 2 holes, because it can be used for dual needle sewing. So if you want to, and it's so pretty when you do embroidery, which would be either straight stitch or the zigzag with 2 needles. So you need 2 places for thread to go through. And same with here, it comes across the machine, and so there's 2 holes again. And so you would thread it, then it would go through the tension and thread down, and you'd have 2 separate needles. Now instead, since this is now going to be directed to the bobbin, I have it come down here like it's supposed to and thread through the tensioner for winding the bobbin. Now, you know, these old bobbin winders, sometimes they function well and sometimes they don't. So you want to be on top of it. You have to hold the thread first tight while it winds a couple of layers. I cannot do it while holding a camera. I've tried. It doesn't work. So I went ahead and started it. What you do is you put normally your bobbin would be like this. You put in on the thread or the bobbin. You make sure it hooks into a little pin. What I do is I move the tire, and so then it'll seat down, and then you push this down and it automatically, this comes forward, which is the thread pressure, and the tire gets pushed to the balance wheel. You need to loosen the balance wheel, which I didn't, and then step on the gas. And when you do that, the tire starts spinning. Now this one works pretty well, but if I see that it's not even, I'll start directing it myself, which is perfectly fine to do. And so I just keep, you can see it's kind of getting a little bit heavier on that one side. Fill it in so that it's nice and even. Okay, so you see it automatically popped up when the bobbin is full. And so just that easy, it's done. You would snip the thread and then pull out so now you can just start threading a normal thread and put the bobbin in the bobbin case. Okay? Just thought I'd give you a little bit of pointers about this machine. Thank you. Bye.